Hey everyone, what's going on? I saw this media article today. It came out yesterday. It's about the Philadelphia Eagle named Fletcher Cox, and during his media interview, he wore this lucha libre Mexican wrestling mask. He wouldn't take it off or whatever. And this story is the same as many media stories that are going on right now. They're all tributes to Super Bowl 52, and I'm going to show you why. It's all about the language of gematria, which is the practice of coding numbers into words and phrases. And I've made tons of videos and blog posts showing how this happens every single day. All of these things in our media are completely scripted. Our sports leagues are scripted the exact same way. Our told history is scripted this way. If you understand gematria, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about, how all of this stuff is scripted. And whenever there's a big sports championship, such as the NBA Finals or the Super Bowl, we get all kinds of celebrity deaths and, ex-football players and all kinds of deaths and stories that are all synced up to what's going on. And this year, the Super Bowl's in Minnesota. An example of this is just yesterday, we got that story of the fake train crash, right? And this guy right here, Jason Lewis, supposedly got a concussion, the congressman. In gematria, his name equals 62. And if you notice, he's also 62 years old. And he got a concussion, and he's from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Or, he's the Minnesota politician, right? The only guy who got hurt, supposedly, got a concussion. Think about that with the NFL. And his name equals 62. He's 62 years old. In gematria, Minneapolis equals 62, and Super Bowl LII also equals 62. So that's why we got this story synced up to the Super Bowl, just the tribute. And there's a ton of other stuff with this guy. His birthday was on 9/23, which is the day that Donald Trump, all the media stories had Donald Trump calling out the players for kneeling during the national anthem. Donald Trump even born on Flag Day, right? All of the kneeling stuff absolutely coded by the numbers, but I want to move on to this story. I'll leave some links in the description. I'll leave the how-to gematria videos so you understand what I'm talking about. They'll be at the top of the list there, how-to gematria. Check them out. You'll understand more of what I'm talking about if you're new, and you'll learn how to apply this for yourself. So we get the story about him wearing this wrestling mask, right? And just the other day, I made a video talking about, well, actually, it was in this video. I was talking about how Roddy Piper and Ronda Rousey were connected to Philadelphia and the Eagles being in the Super Bowl and whatever else. And then I didn't even realize that WrestleMania or the Royal Rumble was held in Philadelphia this year. And Ronda Rousey even comes out and makes her debut with the WWE, and she's wearing a shirt that's a total tribute to Roddy Piper. All these things that I was talking about in here, all because I've studied this system and I've studied the themes that are going on in the media. I mean, if you'll see it too if you just practice this for yourself and try to understand it more. But so interesting, that we get this guy with the wrestling mask, and look at it in gematria. So he's wearing a mask that's called a lucha libre that equals 91 in gematria. And this guy wears number 91. And the Super Bowl is held at, US Bank Stadium where the Vikings play. Vikings in gematria equal 91. But Lucha Libre also equals 62. Just show it to you here. 62, 91. 62 is a really important number as well because Super Bowl LII equals 62. And Minneapolis equals 62 in gematria. So the Lucha Libre mask, a complete tribute to Super Bowl 52. And there's him wearing number 91, just pointing that out. This story, it came on January 31st, which is interesting because, for one, if you write out Super Bowl Super Bowl equals 131, a lot like January 31st. 1/31, even the word championship equals 131. In Jewish gematria, just the word mask equals 131. That Jason Lewis guy that I just talked about earlier, his birthday even 131 days before January 31st, and that story came on January 31st, right? A Super Bowl tribute. But Fletcher Cox, the Philadelphia Eagle, this story comes 49 days, or also 1 month and 18 days after his birthday. And in gematria, eagles equal 49. And also, 1 month, 18 days is a lot like 118. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania equals 118. But also, Patriots equal 118. Tom Brady equals 118. You know, complete Super Bowl tribute. His name in gematria, Fletcher Cox, equals 52. And it's Super Bowl 52. Minnesota equals 52 in gematria. Minnesota is also important to the number 38. If you write out Minnesota, do you notice it equals 38 as well? Just like in Jewish gematria, if you just write out LII, that equals 38. If you write out Super Bowl LII, it equals 163, which is the 38th prime number. Wrestler Jesse Ventura was the 38th governor of Minnesota and whatnot. So just wanted to point that out. And in regards to 52, if you write out 52, it also equals 38 in gematria. And 38 is a big number around death. Death equals 38. You see a lot of celebrities and whatnot die. A lot of rappers seem to die around the number 38. So just seeing this story and seeing this guy connected to wrestling, and then he's wearing, you know, the Mexican wrestling mask, it made me think about a few things, because earlier in this NFL season, if you recall, we got that big story about Marshawn Lynch not standing during the U.S. national anthem, but he stood for the Mexican national anthem when the Oakland Raiders played the New England Patriots. And that game was in Mexico City. I'll leave a link to that video as well in the description. But it was, you know, Marshawn Lynch has a huge history with them as well, considering Super Bowl 49 and the Seahawks should have ran the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Instead, they threw the pass to, you know, Malcolm Butler or whatever. Well, that game was on 2/1, and the play was on 2nd and 1, and Malcolm Butler wore number 21, and he fell to the ground with 21 seconds left on Russell Wilson's 21st pass. And, you know, Marshawn Lynch wears number 24, and he had 24 carries in that game. That's why they couldn't let him run the ball again. Seahawks lost to 24 points in gematria. Seahawks equal 24. Malcolm equals 24. Terrell equals 24. Butler equals 24. And if you write out 24, it equals 49, and that was in Super Bowl 49. You know, and Marshawn Lynch even equals 614 in satanic gematria. June 14th is Donald Trump's birthday, which is also Flag Day. You know, all of the stuff this year is synced up to not standing during the national anthem and also the United States flag, you know. So I looked up the Mexican national anthem, and this is what it says it stands for. Mexicans at the cry of war. That equals 98, also 118, this number connected to both Philadelphia and the Patriots, and also 316. 98 super connected to the Patriots as well. We'll just show you that really quick. Patriots equal 98. That's why Tom Brady's the big star of them. 98. Remember Tom Brady played for the Michigan Wolverines. That equal 98. Jim Harbaugh even equals 98. In gematria, you know. Tom Brady became the starter at Michigan in 1998. If you remember in Super Bowl 49, they had that Snickers Brady Bunch commercial. Snickers equals 98. Brady Bunch equals 98. And earlier in that year, we got a story about Tom Brady selling his house to Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre whatever. Dr. Dre equals 49. He was 49 years old, born on the 49th day of the year. This was before Super Bowl 49. But we got the death of Alice on the Brady Bunch at the same time that Dr. Dre was buying the Giselle Bundchen and Tom Brady house, the Brady Bundchen house. That's how these things work, you know, tributes. So hopefully you get what I'm talking about. This 316 number is super duper important to the standing during the national anthem stuff. Last year even I was talking about Charles Manson and how he was important to the not standing during the national anthem because Charles Manson said that the Beatles song Blackbird was telling black people to rise up or whatever. And then we got the Blackbird, the Atlanta Falcons, in the Super Bowl or whatever else, and their motto is even rise and all kinds of stuff, you know. And this year we got the death of Charles Manson and whatnot. The last time, though, that the Patriots and the Eagles played in the Super Bowl, Paul McCartney was the guy who sang the halftime show. And Paul McCartney is the guy who wrote the song Blackbird. And if you look up Paul McCartney, his birthday is even 231 days before the Super Bowl. And look what national anthem equals in gematria, 231. So no coincidence. That's why Charles Manson died this year, because it synced up to the Super Bowl. But the reason that the 316 is important to him is because his real name, Charles Mills Maddox, equals 316. He was born on the 316th day of the year. He even died 3 months and 16 days after Tom Brady's birthday, which is 83. And he had a whole bunch of connections to the number 83. That's why I looked that up. And Tom Brady, born on 83, the word football equals 83. If you write out 316, it equals 98 in gematria, synced up to the Patriots. It's the 98th season of the NFL this year. Also, you know, there's lots of stuff. 9/23, that special day where Donald Trump called out all the people for kneeling and whatnot. That was a special day to Pope Francis, because his trip to the United States in 2015. He came on his 923rd day as Pope and went to the White House at 9/23 on 9/23, September 23rd, which in most parts of the world they write the date as 23/9, a lot like 239, which is the 52nd prime number. And then he visited Philadelphia and a bunch of other stuff, you know. And that's why Philadelphia is in the Super Bowl this year. It was even 863 days before the Super Bowl that he went to Philadelphia. 863 is the 150th prime number. And Philadelphia Eagles and gematria equal 150. And the reason Pope Francis is important to 316 is because his birthday is 316 days after the Super Bowl this year. And in Hebrew gematria, if you use the Hebrew lettering, Jesus Christ even equals 316. Philadelphia comes from the book of Revelation, you know, so lots of interesting things going on with it. And I wish I would have looked up that Mexican national anthem back then, because that Marshawn Lynch not standing for the United States national anthem, that game happened on the same day that Charles Manson died. So it would have been a way bigger clue to what I was talking about. So also in regards to wrestling or whatever, this article, it mentions Jack Black in here from the movie Nacho Libre. Talks about Jack Black in the 2006 movie. But when I think of Mexican wrestlers, I think of Rey Mysterio, right? And I looked up Rey Mysterio, and he just so happened to win the Royal Rumble in the year 2006, the same year that Nacho Libre came out and whatnot. We just had the Royal Rumble that was synced up to the Super Bowl this year in Philadelphia even. So I decided to look up Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio in gematria equals 62, right? Like Minneapolis, like Super Bowl LII. And it even says that he set a record for the Royal Rumble for lasting 62 minutes. His name equals 62, lasted 62 minutes. It was in 2006. You know, you take out these zeros, it's even a lot like a 26, the reflection of 62. And if you read about Rey Mysterio, you find out that he was also teamed up with Eddie Guerrero, and he also had a feud with him. And in real life, they were good friends. And guess what? Eddie Guerrero, he died 2 months, 17 days before that Royal Rumble in 2006. His name in gematria equals 217, and he died at the age of 38, like Minnesota. And guess what? He died in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So no doubt in my mind, that's why they did this whole Mexican mask thing, is because it synced up to the death of Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio. Also, in regards to Mexico, if you recall, all season I've been talking about earthquakes as well. There's something with Philadelphia that I've been talking about since 2015 that is synced up to earthquakes. And then in what was it, the end of November, we got the 4.1 Delaware earthquake that they said was felt in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia was a big thing with that. It was a 4.1. Look at Super Bowl equals 41 as well. And if you recall, earlier in the year, we got that Mexico City earthquake on September 19th. And if you go from that earthquake to the day that the Patriots played in Mexico City, it's 61 days, or also a span of 62 days. And Philadelphia equals 61, so that's important. Both of these are important. 61, Super Bowl LI, 62, 9/19, the day of that earthquake, that's even the 262nd day. A lot like, 26 and 62. If you write out September 19th, it even equals 98. It also equals 91. Like I talked about in the beginning, that guy wearing number 91. November 19th, the day of this Mexico game with the Patriots, that also equals 91. And it just reminds me of, in 2015, I mentioned the assassination of James Garfield, one of the presidents who died in 1881. And his birthday was November 19th, and he died on September 19th. And he got shot at a train station, and all the train symbolism was really important to the 9/23, the Flag Day stuff, and Pope Francis. In 2015, the 239th year of the United States, we even had the Philadelphia train wreck that happened at 9:23 p.m. And LeBron James in that movie called Trainwreck with Amy Schumer, LeBron James equals 923 at gematria. And in that film, Amy Schumer's character is 9 years old in the beginning, and the rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. And Pope Francis even has a connection to Trainwreck. Look at this. Trainwreck, 122. Pope Francis, 122. Also, if you don't believe what I'm talking about, that year, Golden State won the NBA Finals. Golden State, 122. And then Kansas City won the World Series. Kansas City, 122. Remember, there was even the blackout, the TV blackout in the Game 1 of the World Series that year. The power came back on at 9:23. It went out at 9:19. It came back on at 9:23. 9/19 was the day Pope Francis began his trip to America, going to Cuba. So, also in regards to that Mexico City earthquake, I'll leave another video in the description of that. But Pope Francis had visited Mexico City 585 days before that earthquake happened. And that's numbers that I've talked a whole lot about in regards to earthquakes. The study of earthquakes goes back to the year 585 BC by a guy named Falls of Miletus. And his name equals 85 in gematria. 58 and 85 are super important to earthquake stuff. Even, Charles Francis Richter, he died at the age of 85 in 1985, and Richter scale equals 58. Seismograph equals 58. I talked a lot about East Coast earthquakes in 2015, and the last biggest earthquake east of the Rockies was a 5.8, and it was in Mineral, Virginia. And the one before that was in 1944. Can't remember where that one was. Maybe Cornwall, Messina or something. But it was happened in 1944. year earthquake in gematria equals 44. And the one before that was in Charleston, South Carolina in 1886. And it was exactly, what was it? It was exactly 58 years and 5 days before the Cornwall Messina one. 585. Tons of stuff with the numbers 58 and 85 in regards to earthquakes. So we'll leave the video there, trying to make it somewhat short. Check out my other videos. You'll understand more. It might take a while to understand what I'm talking about, but if you follow me long enough, I'm telling you, it will start to make more sense. This whole world is super scripted. These media stories are interrelated, and they're interrelated into the scripted sports leagues. Every single sports game is scripted. It's not just the Super Bowl. All season long, these games are scripted. Our media stories are synced up to some of the games and whatever else. So if you pay enough attention, you can figure out who's going to be in the Super Bowl, if you follow the right theme. And it's undeniable at this point. Every single day, this stuff is coded by the numbers. So have a good one. Peace.